Now at 9, investigations are underway after a house fire in Joplin this morning.
Another economic report out today showing wholesalers are still getting hit with high inflation, though not as bad as earlier this year. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll show you the data coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. The Joplin Fire Department battled an early morning house fire that left one person injured. Fire started around 5:30 this morning in a home at 832 South Pennsylvania. Fire officials sounded 2 alarms to combat the blaze. Around 8, Joplin Public Works began taking down part of the house to expose any hidden hot spots. One person inside the home was injured as he was escaping. He was taken to the hospital. There's no word yet on the cause of the fire. A northeast Oklahoma man is dead and 2 others injured after a crash in Craig County, Oklahoma. Authorities say 31-year-old Braden Ingram of Blue Jacket was driving on OK 10 near South 4470 Road when a semi struck his car head-on. Ingram was ejected, pronounced dead at the scene. Passenger Ingram's car, 25-year-old Nathaniel Saluga, is in critical condition. The driver of the semi, 37-year-old Daniel Tanner, is also in critical condition. Miami, Oklahoma police officers have a new tool and training for de-escalating threats without lethal force. The department now has pepper ball, launchers, and pellets. 15 officers were trained on how to use the launchers. Officers say it's going to help save lives. Sam Lane joining us now. First look at the forecast. Really an enjoyable day today, Sam.
It really was, Jordan. It was a nice sunny day with increasing clouds as we headed through the evening, and those clouds are now starting to produce some showers on radar, especially down in Oklahoma. You can see a few sprinkles there just north and west of Miami. But if you take a closer look back to the south and west, look at this large area of rain across Oklahoma, and that's moving towards the north and east. Even a few lightning bolts in and around the Oklahoma City area with that activity. Now tomorrow there's going to be some Christmas parades around our area, and the only 3 that I'm really concerned about for the possibility of some showers would be in Southwest City at around 10:30, and Monette's parade starts at 11 a.m. and also 2 p.m. over in Aurora. I think most of the parades will be okay, but I just wanted to point out that those are the 3 that I was concerned about. The other parades are going to be in the evening, and the rain should be gone by then. I'll have details on the forecast coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Sam, thanks as always. Pittsburgh couple who lost a wedding ring got quite the surprise recently. It's a neat story. KOAM Sagun Bamdeli is set with the Smiths and has more.
After taking their morning walk on the 4th of October 2021, Fran Smith discovered that the diamond on her wedding ring was missing.
At that point, she didn't know when it had fallen out or where, thought perhaps even into the shower that morning. So we searched the house and tried to find it with a light, maybe the reflection, and we didn't come up with the diamond at all.
Losing all hope that the diamond would be found, the couple took the ring to a jeweler to remove the prongs that once held the diamond.
So therefore, we had the ring fixed without the diamond and looked really nice.
After living without the diamond for a full year, the Smiths got a huge surprise on October 1st of this year, finding the diamond in the cervix of Dawn's walking shoe.
Kind of skeptical because I couldn't think that after a year that actually we had found it.
Well, when I saw it, I thought, my goodness, this has been stuck in here for a year, and I've walked around all this time and it never came out. And I was pretty confident that it was the right diamond. I mean, it wasn't any fake little jewel laying around.
After the diamond was taken back to the jeweler to be remounted, the Smiths tell me a good Samaritan already paid for the diamond to be put back in its rightful place.
And then when we went to pay the jeweler after he had put it back on the ring, and then he told us that somebody else had already paid the bill for us. So that was very emotional.
Don says his children were excited.
With the diamond gone or the diamond there, our devotion to each other and to God remained the same. And so we shared the story of finding the diamond, and everyone, our children and grandchildren included, are pretty excited about her having the diamond back in her ring.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Shagun Bamdele, KOAM News.
Isn't that amazing? A couple got engaged with the ring back in 1966. Christmas came a little early for elementary kiddos in Joplin. James River Church gave special presents to students in Joplin schools, including West Central, as part of the church's annual season of giving. Also to give with present giving, there were interactive games, music, and a Christmas adventure.
Things that we feel a fifth grader, fourth grader, third grader, whatever grade they're in, we have went out and shopped specifically for those grades, and they're not all getting the same thing. We have sat and looked at each name on a list and said, what does this student want for Christmas?
Schools are selected based on several factors, including the number of children enrolled in the free or reduced school lunch program. Well, another key indicator of how the economy and inflation, for that matter, are doing was out today, and it shows prices for wholesalers remain stubbornly high. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more.
The Producer Price Index rose 7.4% in November compared to a year ago. The number was higher than expected, though lower than October's 8%. This indicator measures what producers are paying for goods before they reach store shelves.
Americans are beginning to see a much needed break in inflation, but we have more work to do.
The next Consumer Price Index is out next week. While the wholesale number is the best we've seen since May 2021, grocery store receipts are still high, with food prices rising 3.3%.
I mean, you got to eat every day, and so the worst news about this is what's happening with food, what's happening with energy. Things that people use every day.
The stubbornly high number could prompt the Federal Reserve to keep their aggressive interest rate hikes to cool inflation, but it's making it harder for homebuyers and those looking for car loans.
There's no change in Washington. I mean, they're still spending, they're still regulating. Those are the types of initiatives in Washington that could get us past the inflation. They're not doing any of that, so I think it's here to stay.
Where consumers are getting some relief, the gas pump. The average price of a gallon now $3.31. Gas Buddy analysts say $3 a gallon could be this year's Christmas present.
And I think that certainly looks like a very good possibility here, probably on as early as December 23rd.
The next Federal Reserve meeting is on Wednesday. A 0.5% rate hike is expected. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
WNBA star Brittany Griner arrived in the U.S. after a high-profile prisoner swap with Russia. Now, as her supporters celebrate her homecoming, some say it's important not to forget other Americans wrongfully imprisoned abroad. Fox's Madeline Rivera reporting from Washington.
Brittany Griner took her first steps on American soil early Friday morning at San Antonio's Kelly Field. It's the culmination after a nearly 10-month saga and painstaking negotiations between Russia and the U.S. to bring her home.
I cried. I was really excited.
Griner was taken to a medical facility for a health evaluation. As she reunites with her wife and parents before the holidays, the families of other Americans detained abroad hope Griner's case shines a light on their loved ones. Neda Shargi's brother Imad, an Iranian-American businessman, has been held in Iran since 2018.
If the president can get Brittany Griner out of Russia during these tense times with Russia, then he can certainly get my brother out of Iran.
More than 60 U.S. citizens are being held hostage or are wrongfully detained in at least 18 countries, per the James Foley Legacy Foundation, which advocates for the release of American hostages. U.S. officials say their work continues behind closed doors.
I can assure you that the National Security Team is working very hard to get all unjustly held Americans, all wrongfully detained Americans, back home where they belong. And a lot of that work, understandably, and I think rightly, has to be done quietly.
President Putin, meanwhile, isn't ruling out the possibility of more prisoner exchanges down the road.
This is the result of negotiations and the search for compromises. In this case, compromises were found. We do not refuse to continue this work in the future.
Critics argue swapping Griner for a convicted arms dealer wasn't a fair trade. They warn about U.S. adversaries potentially using American hostages as bargaining chips. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Mort Cox served in the U.S. Army from 1952 to 53. Native of Chinook, Kansas, Cox was stationed in Korea. We are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Mort Cox. He's tonight's four-state hero. Coming up, strong new accusations against Twitter.
Republican lawmakers calling for a full investigation into Twitter after the latest release of Twitter files alleging the company practiced online censorship. I'm Griff Jenkins in Washington. I've got the details coming up.
Federal Trade Commission is suing to block Microsoft's acquisition of video game company Activision Blizzard. The $69 billion deal would make Microsoft the third largest video game publisher in the world. The FTC's complaint says if the deal went through, Microsoft would hold too much power in the whole industry. Microsoft, however, argues the deal would actually create more opportunities for gamers, also developers. According to Forbes magazine, billionaire Tesla and Twitter CEO Elon Musk, he got knocked down. He's no longer the world's richest person. The number one spot on Forbes' list of real-time billionaires is now occupied by Bernard Arnault, CEO of French luxury brand LVMH. LVMH is the company behind Louis Vuitton luxury goods and Hennessy Cognac. Republican lawmakers demanding accountability after another batch of Twitter files reportedly shows the company secretly censored people. Fox News national correspondent Griff Jenkins has more from D.C.
They're effectively a modern public square, and they should not be engaged in censorship.
Growing anger against Twitter's former leadership over allegations of censorship. In a string of tweets Thursday, journalist Barry Weiss revealed the company secretly limited the visibility of certain tweets and user accounts. Many of those accounts reportedly leaned conservative. Critics say this means former CEO Jack Dorsey lied in 2018 when he claimed under oath the site didn't engage in shadow banning.
Are you censoring people?
No.
Twitter shadow banning prominent Republicans. It's bad. Is that true?
No.
Twitter also allegedly censored a Stanford University doctor who was a vocal opponent of COVID lockdowns. Weiss saying he was secretly put on a Trends blacklist, which prevented his tweets from trending. All this was reportedly led by a secret content moderation group, which included Dorsey. Republican lawmakers are now calling on a deeper investigation into these claims, saying Twitter's actions violate Americans' First Amendment rights.
The new House Republican majority, I think, it just has another line of inquiry for their oversight hearings in a few weeks.
Elon Musk, who handed over all these files to Weiss, says he's now planning to roll out software that will tell users if their accounts were shadow banned. In Washington, Griff Jenkins, Fox News.
All right, Sam is next. We'll complete the forecast a bit later. Mixed reactions across the pond as Harry and Meghan release a docuseries about being part of the royal family.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty nice day across the area with lots of sunshine. We'd had some clouds moving in this evening, and those clouds are portents of things to come as we head into the overnight hours. Right now, you can see at Seneca, Missouri, it's Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Pretty nice evening down there. No wet pavement yet, but that's going to be changing over the next few hours as we take a look at our radar in just a moment. But we made it up to 50 degrees in Joplin, which was only 1 degree above normal. We started out at 35, which was 5 above the normals of 30. Check out 1993, 71 degrees, but only 2 years later, a big old goose egg for the low of 0 degrees. It can be quite a wild swing around here, and we're going to see that on the forecast. Right now, let's take a look at radar. You can see these showers moving into southeastern Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma. A little bit closer in view around Bartlesville, showing those showers extending down towards Nowata, and also around Howard and Sedan, some sprinkles starting to occur. And this is all moving to the north and east. So as we head through the overnight hours, don't be surprised if you hear the rain on the roof, as well as rumble to or thunder. Temperatures right now are in the 30s, so it's going to be a cold rain, folks. One of those just raw nights. Temperature of 34 in Yates Center right now, 45 in Miami, 43 in Grove, 41 in Joplin, and 46 down in Bella Vista. And this is about 10 to 15 degrees colder than it was 24 hours ago. So it's been quite chilly this afternoon and evening. And right now in Joplin, we're sitting at 41 degrees with an east wind at 3. It feels like 41. Dew point of 36 right now, and that's going to save us from any winter-like precipitation because the temperature cannot drop below the dew point. Humidity is at 82% and will be increasing as we go into the overnight hours. Also over the overnight, that rain's going to be moving up from Oklahoma across our area, so a pretty good chance of rain across the entire area with lows in the 40s. So it's going to be a cold, chilly rain with northeasterly winds. Then as we go through the morning, the rain moves off to the east, so I think most of the parades are going to be okay, especially by evening with temperatures in the upper 40s to around 50 degrees for the high. And then Saturday night into Sunday morning, we'll see the clouds moving back in especially in Oklahoma and southwest Missouri with northeasterly winds and lows in the 30s and 40s. And then as we go through Sunday afternoon, we're going to see temperatures in the 50s across our area with south winds. And those south winds are really going to get cranking on Monday with lows generally in the 40s on Monday morning ahead of the next storm system. Rain chances, yeah, pretty sure bet tonight, and then decreasing as we go over the next 24 hours. Rainfall amounts are going to be higher to the south, less up towards the north, around ½ an inch, I'd say, here in the Joplin area. Here's the storm system we're going to be watching. That moves away tomorrow, but then we're going to be watching this big storm system digging into the southwestern United States, and as that comes out into the plains, we could have a round of severe weather on Tuesday, and then yet another storm system waiting in the wings. It's going to be a cold wave across our area in about 8 to 14 days, and when you add precipitation to that, we could see some winter-like weather as well. All right, let's take a look at the forecast over the next 7 days. You can see tomorrow 51, 56 on Sunday, 62 on Monday, and then the big chance of storms on Tuesday. Some of those could be strong or severe, Jordan. We'll keep an eye on that for you. And then, believe it or not, maybe some snow flurries on Thursday morning, especially up to the north.
It is December. It is December,
That's right.
San Luis Obispo. Thank you so much. Coming up, reactions pouring in.
Mixed reaction across the UK as Harry and Meghan tell their side of the story. In London, I'm Alex Hogan. I'll have more on this coming up.
There's mixed reaction after let's start all over, should we? There's mixed reaction across the UK as Prince Harry and Meghan's docu-series hits Netflix. So far, the couple has mainly steered clear of criticizing the royal family. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has more.
How are you both feeling? Prince Harry and Meghan are taking aim at the British tabloids in their new docu-series. The first of 3 episodes hit Netflix on Thursday and featured the couple discussing the monarchy's toxic relationship with the press. They also accused the British publishers of wanting to destroy Meghan. The issue was one of several that led the pair to step away from royal duties 2 years ago.
It's really hard to look back on it now and go, what on earth happened?
Harry and Meghan's comments dominated the front page of several newspapers here in the UK. British lawmaker Bob Seeley plans on trying to introduce a bill in Parliament to strip the couple of their royal titles, claiming the series is an attack on British institutions, while some locals say they're undecided on whether or not to watch.
There's always an element of doubt when somebody raises issues. You can't turn a blind eye to it.
Part of being a royal is not complaining. Go and have a drink with a mate and talk about it.
The project comes at a pivotal moment for the royal family as King Charles III tries to maintain the monarchy's role in the UK.
Your Majesty, if you watch the documentary.
So far, the palace has not commented on the show.
I think quite rightly the royal family will just see this as just another bump in the Harry and Meghan road. And they'll carry on doing what they're doing.
The final 3 episodes of Harry and Meghan will begin streaming on Netflix next week. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
Up next, Google releasing data on the most searched for recipes on its platform over the past year. Data is all around us, right? Mickey D's giving some customers insight into what their order says about them. Now, last year, fast food chain rolled out its My McDonald's Rewards loyalty program. I have the app. Many of you do too. I know the program allowed the chain to gather data about food order patterns. Chain is finally releasing some of its most interesting findings in its second ever Fanual report. Results include French fries. This is like a duh. French fries, the most ordered menu item in every state. I mean, they're good. And customers in New York City be more likely to place late night orders compared to the rest of the U.S. McDonald's is also launching what's called Fan Persona for its app users. This is going to let customers know what kind of fan they are, based on what level. All right, Google is releasing the most searched recipes of the year on its platform. Topping the list is Sugo, I think I'm pronouncing that right, which is tomato-based pasta sauce, specific kinds, apparently. Other recipes Google's users searched for are mango pie, and Marry Me Chicken, okay? Sandwich recipe from model Bella Hadid also made the list after going viral on TikTok. Going back to the Marry Me Chicken. Interesting name, right? Apparently, whoever named it said, if you make it for your boyfriend or girlfriend, and it's going to be so good that your significant other is going to be like, this is so good, marry me. So it's an Italian dish. If you have your phone or laptop there, Google it. It looks really good, really good. All right, 30 more minutes news, weather, and sports coming away. Some folks in Fort Scott, Kansas came out for a night of caroling and Christmas shopping. Plus,
There's been a spike in tips after investigators here in Moscow, Idaho, released information about a car that could be connected to the murder case. I'm Alexis McAdams. I'll have those details coming up next.
Missouri Southern today gave students a chance to get in the holiday spirit ahead of finals with its inaugural Holiday Happenings celebration. The university hosted several events at the Billingsley Student Center. Those events included a Maker's Markets craft fair, Merry Mansion tours, a tree lighting, and carriage rides. Officials say it's a way to celebrate the end of the semester and the holidays.
Definitely such a great event for relaxing because we're getting close to the holidays, finals are coming up, so everyone's just full stress, and I know the holidays are a great time to relax, and they're always my favorite time of the year, so it's really nice getting to have something on campus that feels more like home.
The event was capped with the showing of A Christmas Story at the Phelps Theater in the Student Center. Fort Scott Area Chamber of Commerce brought businesses and shoppers together with a night of cocoa and caroling. Carolers sang from under a gazebo downtown as shops stayed open late for people to check off some items from the Christmas shopping lists that are still around. With a surge of cases of the flu, RSV, and COVID, it's putting a strain on hospitals across the country, and staffing shortages are only making this whole thing even worse. Fox Business Network's Lydia Hugh reports from New York.
Cases of respiratory illnesses are surging, and it's putting a strain on hospital resources. An emergency room nurse from this hospital here in the Bronx tells us that patients are waiting hours to be seen. Sometimes after they're admitted, they're being placed in hallways for treatment. Nurses, he says, are treating up to 10 patients, sometimes as many as 20 at any time.
It is not a patient room setup. There is not life-saving equipments there, and they are in the hallways. It is a dehumanizing experience for the patients, and it's also a dissatisfying experience for the nurses and the other caregivers.
Across the country, surges of patients are straining hospital resources. Currently, 80% of all hospital beds in the country are in use. That's up 8% in just the past 2 weeks. But while patient populations are growing, the country's hospital staff size, particularly of nurses, has dwindled. According to Health Affairs, the industry lost 100,000 nurses between 2020 and 2021, the largest year-over-year drop in 4 decades, and that's affecting patient care. A recent survey of 1,000 nurses shows 9 out of 10 believe the quality of patient care suffers due to ongoing nursing shortages. Now, the Greater New York Hospital Association commented for this story on behalf of Montefiore Medical Center. They said the hospital remains committed to recruiting and retaining nurses, but the problem is not just nurses, it's doctors too. The American Medical Association estimates 1 out of 5 doctors will leave the field within the next 2 years. So some experts say this is a problem that's not going to get better anytime soon. Reporting from the Bronx, New York, Lydia Hu, Fox Business.
Police in Moscow, Idaho, continue their search for a car they say may be connected to the murder of 4 college students this coming as law enforcement officials comb through thousands of tips related to the case. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams has more.
There's been a big spike in the number of tips rolling into the Moscow Police Department after investigators asked people for help tracking down this type of white Hyundai Elantra. Police say the car was spotted right near the home where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered. Investigators believe the person or people in that car could have critical information related to the case. With so much new information coming in, the FBI call center will be fielding the calls.
We are just wanting to talk to the individuals who are in that vehicle. They may have some valuable information for us. So any assistance you can give us, anybody that owns one, anybody that knows of someone who owns one or may have been driving one.
Right now, ports of entry along the U.S.-Canadian border are aware to keep on the lookout for that white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Canadian border officials not commenting directly on this case, only saying they work closely with police on both sides of the border. Sunday will mark 1 month since the brutal murders of these 4 students. As the case develops, police urging patience.
We're going to keep on going. And as you can see, with all these tips and new information, we have so much more to work with, and we're not letting up.
This weekend will be winter graduation at the university. We're expecting to have a moment of silence for those students who lost their life. Reporting in Moscow, Idaho, I'm Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
But later, some steps you can take to avoid being the victim of package stealing Grinches. this holiday season.
Well, friends, it turned out to be a pretty nice day across the area with lots of sunshine, a little bit on the chilly side as we were colder today than we were yesterday, and I'll show you that in just a moment. First, let's take a look down in Seneca, Missouri at the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Pretty nice evening down there. No rain falling yet, but that's going to be changing down there too. As you can see, the pavement is pretty dry down there this evening. Here in Joplin, we made it up to 50 degrees after starting out at 35, which was above the normals of 49 and 30. But check out 1993, 71 degrees, and only 2 years later, it was already down to 0. So it can be quite varied across our region this time of year. Radar right now showing some showers and storms moving into northeastern Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas. And I'm increasingly becoming concerned about this area right here to the west of Chanute because temperatures are in the 30s and the dew point is around 32 degrees. So folks in Woodson, Allen, and Bourbon County, you might have a little bit of light freezing rain starting to develop with this as it moves up into that area later on tonight. But a look closer in view shows the rain moving into Bartlesville and No Water right now, also approaching Veneta on the hour. But this is all moving to the north and east. So everyone's going to get rain tonight. And you can see temperatures right now, as I mentioned, it's already down to 32 in Iola. So if it starts raining in that, we could see a little bit of light icing developing up towards the north. 35 in Yates Center, 37 in Fort Scott, 45 in Miami. Now, if we take a look at the temperatures 24 hours ago, they were about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than they are right now. So we've definitely had a cool air mass move into our area. And dew points right now are generally in the 30s and even some 40s. And here's what I was talking about. A 32-degree dew point in Iola, Nevada, and Stockton. Precipitation falling through that kind of atmosphere will what we call wet bulb. And if it's right around 32 degrees, we could start to see some light icing. So be careful if you're going to be heading out and about there in the overnight hours in those areas. Temperature right now in Joplin, we're 41 degrees, east wind at 3, and it feels like 36 degrees, or that's the dew point here in Joplin. Rain moving across our area tonight with lows in the 40s. It's going to be a cold, raw rain, not my favorite. And then as we move to tomorrow afternoon, we'll start to see partly cloudy skies and wind and highs generally around upper 40s to around 50 degrees. Then Sunday morning, we'll see lows in the 30s to right around 40 degrees. Sunday afternoon, though, a little bit nicer with southeasterly winds and highs in the upper 50s down to the south, generally around 50 here in the metro area. Then as we move into Monday, we're going to see south winds really blowing across our area, bringing up the moisture and the temperatures as well, with lows generally in the 40s. Rain chances, a good bet tonight across the area, then dropping rapidly for tomorrow for those Christmas parades. Shouldn't be a big problem. Rainfall tonight, mainly down to the south is where the heaviest is going to be. Generally around 1/2 inch to 3/4 here in the metro, lighter amounts up towards the north. Here's the big storm system that's moving over us tonight. As it moves away, we're going to see another storm system drop into the west, and that system is going to pull out into the plains on Tuesday, and this could be a severe weather maker across our area. We'll watch it closely, and then yet another storm system behind it. And when you factor in the temperatures as we move through the next 8 to 14 days, a cold wave across our area with precipitation across our area, and that means we could start to see some more winter-like precipitation. Here's the forecast. Tonight, rain. Tomorrow, 51, partly cloudy by afternoon, 56 on Sunday, 62 on Tuesday and Wednesday, or actually Monday and Tuesday. Big chance of storms on Tuesday. Some of those could be severe. And then, wouldn't you know it, maybe some snow flurries on Thursday morning. And then, yes, maybe even some snow beyond that.
And that's something. Sam Lane, thank you so much. Coming up in sports, NCAA handing down penalties to Missouri Southern football after an investigation finds multiple violations from the previous coaching staff. Plus, Pittsburgh boys hitting the road for a border battle against CJ Carl Junction. Jacob Leonard has those highlights and more, of course, next.
The NCAA has released a report today detailing multiple infractions from the Missouri Southern football program under the previous coaching staff in 2019 and 2020. And those violations include impermissible recruiting benefits and academic misconduct. In those 2 seasons, Lions football program was under the direction of former head coach Jeff Sims. The report today says the former Southern head coach, quote, failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance with the NCAA rules and was directly involved in the violations, end quote. Among the multiple infractions, the report says the former head coach arranged for a booster to pay off a student-athlete's tuition at his previous school so that player's transcripts would be released and he could transfer to Missouri Southern. Now, the penalties against Missouri Southern stemming from this investigation include 3 years probation running through November 2025, a $5,000 fine, a reduction in football scholarships for the 2022-2023 academic year, and also the school must vacate all football records in which ineligible student athletes competed. Now, Missouri Southern says no current employees were implicated in that investigation. The school declined to comment on camera, but they did release statements from both President Dean Van Galen and Athletic Director Rob Mallory. In the statement, Mallory says, quote, "While these circumstances are unfortunate, particularly because the violations occurred prior to Coach Bradley's arrival, we are pleased to have the matter resolved so that we can continue the focus on the positive progress of our football program," end quote. You can check out the full report from the NCAA and the full statement from Missouri Southern in this story on the sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. The Kansas City Chiefs are 9-3 in their first 12 games of the season. Last week, they fell on the road to the Bengals, snapping a 5-game winning streak. Now, this week, they remain on the road for a divisional rivalry game against the Broncos. Now, like we do every Friday night, right now it's time to hear from the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, in this week's Minute with Mitch.
Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach and his staff never stop. They're constantly working to strengthen the Chiefs roster, build depth, but they're also in the insurance business. This week, the Chiefs are going after a 14th straight win over the Denver Broncos. And the Chiefs recently signed former Bronco running back Melvin Gordon to their practice squad. Many fans in the Chiefs Kingdom ask why. Well, a big part of the insurance industry is insurance for insurance. Think already how the Chiefs' insurance for insurance has worked. Kadarius Toney filling in for an injured McCole Hardman, or running back Ronald Jones II being available when Clyde Edwards-Helaire was put on injured reserve. With the current rules, the ever-moving practice squad can be a blend of veterans and developmental players alike. And insurance for insurance on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by Como Jewelry. Every day's game day, Como Jewelry, Pittsburgh, Joplin.
Sunday's Chiefs-Broncos game kicks off at 3:05 on our sister station, KOAM Channel 7. The Chiefs, by the way, are 9-point favorites over Denver. The Pittsburgh High School boys are 1-1 to begin the season. The Purple Dragons lost to Joplin to open the season, but bounced back on Tuesday with a win over Nevada. Tonight, the Dragons are in Missouri again, this time facing the Carl Junction Bulldogs. A hot start for Carl Junction. Nice finish here for Cooper Vedix. The Bulldogs up 11 at halftime. But in the second half, here comes Pittsburgh. Ryan Carew knocks the pass away, scoops it up, takes it in for the lay-in. Purple Dragons get within 6 going to the fourth. In the fourth, Jackson Turnbull inside gets it to go, plus the foul. Turnbull scores 18. It's just a 4-point game. Pittsburgh down just 1 here. Mason English gets the floater, giving the Purple Dragons their first lead of the second half. Timeout Carl Junction, then English again buries the deep ball from the corner to put the Purple Dragons up 4. English scores a team-high 22 tonight. Pittsburgh rallies to beat Carl Junction 57-53. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
'Tis the season for stolen packages. That's thanks to modern-day Grinches swiping them right off people's front stoops. Fox's Matt Rivera in D.C. with more on how the holiday theft is up, but what you should know to avoid having a bah humbug holiday.
Police call these culprits modern-day Grinches, thieves who swipe holiday packages right off people's front porches.
Unfortunately, with the real Grinch, he gives the packages back at the end. That's not so much the case with these.
But police say this crime, known as porch pirating, goes up every year at this time.
We have more people getting packages delivered to their house, so the opportunity is there. People are going to take advantage of that opportunity.
According to a recent survey shared by the Better Business Bureau, 14% of consumers experienced package theft this year, as more and more shoppers resort to online marketplaces and expedited delivery services for their holiday shopping.
Don't let a Grinch ruin your holiday season.
In Kyle, Texas, city officials launched a series of Grinch-filled PSAs to remind residents to stay safe.
You obviously don't want to leave those packages out there visible on the porch for any extended period of time.
Other cities have found their own approach. In nearby Round Rock, police suggest having packages sent to them as part of Operation Front Porch.
We hold them for 3 days and people can come in during business hours and pick up their packages.
If you don't want to run the risk of losing your holiday packages, it's advised you ship directly to the store or require a signature upon delivery. In Washington, Mather Rivera, Fox News.
Coming up, going to take an in-depth look at director Guillermo del Toro's vision for the newest version of Pinocchio. Visionary filmmaker Guillermo del Toro retells a classic inspired by his longtime passion for telling stories. The musical adventure is now streaming on Netflix, and we spoke to him and his cast all about it. Here's a look at Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio with Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio debuts on Netflix with its stunning stop-motion animation and dark twist on a classic tale. How much your characters and your stories become a part of you from one to the next, and what you might take with you from Pinocchio that you discovered.
You know, it's funny. For me, it's never been a filmography. It's always been a biography. And if I do my job right as director, everybody that gets involved feels the same way, and it becomes their movie too. And being a son and being a father and existing in a world where we are here very briefly and then we're gone, and how unimportant our lives are, so that makes them very important for the people around us. These are things that I ponder about as an individual, and I try to bring them to the movies I make.
The cast learned from the movie-making process.
What Guillermo said, he told me that I should say dummy at the end of every line. And obviously it got cut out, but saying dummy at the end of a line gave me something to direct it out.
They used different sized puppets. You know, I thought that there was maybe like smaller and a little bigger, but they used like gigantic figures.
Del Toro shared how he feels they push this art form to another level to bring the characters to life.
I don't think you've ever seen actors in the puppets the way we created in this film. I think the acting is very subtle, incredibly realistic emotionally and spiritually.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
I want to see that. Seems pretty interesting. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you tonight with video of the Christmas tree lighting and parade in Oswego, Kansas. Have a great, safe weekend. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.